Hi guys, and welcome to an actor's notebook. I know it's been a while since I've talked to you guys. Quarantine has been crazy. I feel like I've been in it for I think I've been in for three, I don't know, like a bajillion years. All the days are just kind of lapping over together. But I'm coming back to you guys, and I'm coming with a new series. So this is going to be called the Storytime series. And basically these are just some fun little stories that I wanted to share with you guys. It's not going to take long, so you can just watch, enjoy. But I'm going to do it while drinking so that I can give you guys the most truth and also have some fun for myself while drinking. So pour yourself a glass of wine. Well, I have like a makeshift cocktail with tequila in here, and I've been drinking for a little bit, so you're really gonna get the honest truth. I was out of like wine, like fancy, nice glasses, so it's in a mason jar. Don't judge me, I'm Southern, or judge me, it's all right. I enjoy being Southern. But yeah, so we're going to drink and we're going to tell a story. And by the title, you all know this is my HBO pilot audition process that I'm going to explain to you guys. So let's hop into it, shall we? We're going to start with a sip. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So it started, the one that I'm going to be talking about this time is called Vegas High. It was on HBO, was going to be on HBO Max, and they were doing the auditions for the pilot of it. Many of you may have seen it on Actors Access. They finally have their cast, everything's done and ready, but I did audition for it. I found out about it through Actors Access, and then I submitted for it. And then I got a call back having me read for a specific role. Now, this is just a pre-read. You know, they want to see how the language fits in my mouth kind of thing. It's not really like a real like callback or even like a real audition for that role. It's just kind of, you know, like a pre-read. You know, that's what you have first. So I did the pre-read for the role, and it was I got the slides and everything like that. I had no context whatsoever really about what was happening before, what was happening after. I really didn't even have much context on this character. They told me what they could, but again, the character's shape as the story develops. Now, they already had the whole episode for the first they already had the script for the first episode, so they kind of knew where they were going, and it was based off one of the writers and directors like real life. So that was cool. They had a direction, but some of the characters were still growing a bit. And that's where an actor also comes in, because once they see some actors, sometimes it changes the direction of a character, just because that actor just influences something about that character or brings to light something in that writer's mind. So I did the pre-read. Then I got invited to do an audition, and this audition was really nice, really cool. They gave me some feedback, and then I did a self-tape audition for that role. So I did my pre-read, and then I did, you know, just a regular audition for that specific role. They didn't really want to see me for anything else. It was just for that role. And it was one of the core roles, so I was happy. It was also one of the first big like television shows that I had ever auditioned for. Around this time, however, I was auditioning for two other things that were pilots for HBO Max, and I was auditioning for Euphoria on HBO Max. So this was like a whirlwind of big auditions that I found myself. I don't have an agent. I got all these things myself and through contacts that I made with different casting directors throughout time. So that's cool. Anyway, so I did that audition, and then they wanted to see me again for that role. And this time, it was going to be in the room. There was going to be, I'm trying to get all of the facts. The casting director who I've been in contact with this entire time, she was going to be in the room, of course. And they were also going to have one of the producers in the room and another casting director, and they were going to record it, and that recording from that audition that happened in that room was going to be sent to the writer, director, and some more producers. Let me get another sip. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, that was like a big audition, and it was my first big audition, and it was with a casting company that was like so high up, like where their building was, and everything that they've cast before, like I knew about, and I was just so excited. But I was so nervous. I was so nervous, and they gave me some more notes to work on the character, and I got to read actually the entire script for the first episode, so I had more context. And I can kind of build the character in the way I was thinking. However, the way I thought about the character was not the way that the casting director was thinking about the character, and so she gave me more notes on how to really become that character. Something ended up happening, and I couldn't make it to the audition in that room, so they did allow me to submit a self-tape, which was like the worst thing that could happen to me in my mind, because I was like, they're never going to choose me. Like, sometimes when you meet someone in person, that energy, you get to know them a little bit more, and you can kind of play with that energy, and also just kind of let them get to know you. And for me personally, people always seem to like me better in the room, and I think that's because I grew up in theater, and there is this like charge that I get when I am in front of an audience, and when I'm in front of people who like I know matters. When things get really tough and when I get really nervous, that's kind of when I come alive. But with everything that was happening with me personally and not being able to make it, I just kind of felt like it was over before I began. So I did not do my best on that audition that I sent, which was so stupid, because it was going to be sent to the writer and the director, and I blew it. I blew it, and I blew it because I was stressed, because I was nervous, and because I felt like I had already failed, and so I put it in my mind that I was already going to fail. The person who they did cast for that role, though, I think is a very good fit. From what I've seen from her work and from just her photos, she looks more of the age than I think I did. And that sometimes look really does matter when creating a character, because everything is written so perfectly for a person, and when you see them, you're like, this is the person. Like, sometimes it's just the look. And she's can act, so it was no like ill feelings. I screwed up. However, for some reason, the casting director and some of the casting directors in that company that I worked with while I was doing it, they liked me, and they still follow me on Instagram. They message me often. I know like any work that they're doing. So here's an important message from this story. First of all, don't ever like psych yourself out. It's so stupid. And also, sometimes it's about winning the room. They had seen my progress every single time, and they could see that I could take correction, and I think they just liked me as an actor from what they've seen. So I now have that contact with that person, and I'm very grateful because they're so helpful, and I really like them. I just vibe well with them. But sometimes it's about winning the room and not necessarily getting the role, because there's always going to be more TV shows. There's always going to be more pilots. There's always going to be work. There's just so much out there for actors. You just have to go get it, and you have to be invited in that room. And you just need one step. You just need to know one person to get closer and closer and closer. And so now having that relationship that I have, like, I still talk to them. They're mad cool. Believe in me. I love them. And I love the work that they do. And if their work matches up with what they, like, if my type matches up with what their work needs at that moment, I know I can contact them. And I know going into audition, I won't feel nervous at all. Now, after quarantine, I don't really feel, and after doing all such big auditions, I don't really feel nervous about going into a role anymore, because I just feel like that just psychs you out and makes you do worse than you possibly could. And sometimes you get a second chance. Sometimes you're like, hey, can I do it again? I can really uh, perform better than this. I've heard many stories where that's gone great, but I've also heard many stories where it hasn't. So just go in there and be confident about your skill. And also, the most important thing is that you're getting, first of all, I got to read this work before it's even out there. Like, that was so cool. And to see the script and to see it constantly changing as they continue to develop some of these characters, it was amazing. And that was a great experience. So I hope this helped. I hope you guys learned a little something about the process. It might be different for other people that have an agent. I know some people that did have an agent, their agent submitted if on Actors Access. Some of them just knew the casting director and they sent an email, and that's how they got their audition. But either way, we all ended up in the same room eventually. Well, I would have ended up in the same room if I didn't have that personal thing that happened. And I was very lucky that they allowed me to submit a self tape, even though I did not do my best. That doesn't always happen, but this just gives a window into the process a little bit for those of you who are wondering. And yeah, that's my story time. Oh, also something crazy that happened is that they ended up working. Sometimes a lot of movies and pilots will work with very different companies. If one company only is based in New York and they're looking all over the world, they have companies all over the world. And so it got really confusing at one point with the auditions, because they switched casting directors, because then they were only doing casting directors based in LA, and it was like this whole big thing. I don't know what happened with that personally, because I was not in that world, but I saw that change happening, and it was weird. Like, it was weird, because I also felt like, okay, well, now I'm gonna introduce myself to a whole new casting department, and what if they're just not interested because they want some more credits? So that also happened, which I think ultimately affected who was permanently cast for those roles. So yeah, that can also happen. I hope you guys enjoyed this little story time. And for those of you who are wondering what happened with the other HBO shows and Euphoria was, maybe that's time for another story time. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on my next story time. Bye. Finish your drink, have fun, and stay safe.